Hello and welcome once again to another edition of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. I am your host, as always, the Mouth of Michigan, Rob Mendeka. With me, as always, the MERKZONE, Mike Merkel.
I'm right here.
And of course, welcome back, the Brain, Emily Merkel.
Hello.
All right, guys. I just want to start off by saying this episode is actually sponsored by a good friend of the show, TracyStJames at TravelMation.net. She is your number one hookup for all of your Disney vacations and your Disney Mickey Mouse ears as well. So we'll be sure to be plugging that later on in the show, so stay tuned for that. Also, just want to remind you all once again that we are on Stitcher and TuneIn Radio finally, so we appreciate all the subscriptions there. Lots of great feedback from all of our fans across the state. Let's just jump right into it, guys. We got a lot of stuff to go over. We got the Elimination pay-per-view, Elimination Chamber pay-per-view by WWE. The Pistons, kind of on a little bit of a streak here, moving to the 7th seed as of this recording. We've got the Manny Machado finally signs. We've only been talking about it for about a month, it seems like. He finally signs with the Padres. Mm-hmm. The MERKZONE's Mock Draft Corner, which we went over last week, and if you didn't listen to last week's show, please go back and listen to it in our archives. We have that going on, and of course, the Colin Kaepernick settlement with the NFL, because how could we not talk about that? And let's all expose the NFL for being buttholes. Okay, we're going to jump right into it, though. First thing we're going to talk about, the Elimination Chamber. Overall, guys, just give me your thoughts on the show itself. I'm going to start with you. What did you think of the show as a whole? What did you think? Anything that was surprising? Just usually these pay-per-views are pretty boring. Not a ton happens, but I feel this show kind of bucked the trend a little bit. So, what do you think?
Honestly, I think I remember we were watching videos. We talked about it last, a couple episodes ago. Like we all were like, "This is gonna be boring."
Right.
Like, there wasn't really anything hinted, and I was actually pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
Like full disclosure, Bayley and Sasha won the women's tag title.
Right.
There was, the Usos won the tag titles over
Right.
Shane McMahon and The Miz, which I thought was
was pretty surprising. Right.
Yeah. A couple other good matches on the card, so I actually thought it was worth the watch.
Yeah.
Compared to some of the other pay-per-views we watched recently. So.
Right. Mike, same question to you, right? What did you think of the card as a whole? Anything shocking that came out of it? I know we were texting back and forth, watching it, some surprises happened. I thought it was a good show overall.
Yeah, it was. It definitely died out about halfway through for me.
Mm-hmm.
Once you hit about the Ronda Rousey stuff,
yeah.
I just kind of was like, I kind of lost interest after a little bit. The first half, absolutely loved. Then hitting the second quarter of the show, I was like, yeah. But then the WWE Championship match kind of kicked it right back into gear.
Right.
And Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston as the final two.
Yeah.
That stretch of one-on-one that they had
fantastic.
Was absolutely fantastic. It was some of the best chamber work in recent history, I would say. So, overall, it was good.
Give me a grade. What would you give this show just as a whole, like grade-wise?
Probably about a B-.
B-? Well, honestly, that's not bad.
I think, and the only parts that, like, the Ronda Rousey-Ruby Riott match, it went a minute and 40 seconds.
Yeah, it didn't really do anything.
Just didn't do much, and then the Baron Corbin-Braun Strowman literally walked out while Rousey was still in the ring.
Which I thought was
hilarious. And they kind of rushed that a little bit, and then that was only like 10 minutes, that was uninteresting. But everything else, I was like very invested into, and worked a lot. And congrats on Bayley and Sasha being the first WWE women's
right. That's a very very important distinction there. Everybody online was kind of getting mad at them for saying that. I'm like, we get it. They used to have tag titles.
But that's the WWF.
Yeah, WWF even. Probably Worldwide Wrestling Federation for you 85-year-olds out there. But I really enjoyed the show. I thought it was a pleasant surprise. The stuff that they did, I liked the women's chamber match. I thought they did a great job there. I thought they made Nia and Tamina look like unstoppable forces, which I think that they should be portrayed as. The Finn Balor winning the Intercontinental Championship, I think we can all agree is kind of overdue. We kind of thought that could have possibly happened at WrestleMania this past year. I think him and Lashley, or him and whoever else he's going to go with going into Mania, I think is going to be fantastic. The Usos winning the tag titles, especially after the Uso drama that happened outside of the ring. Kind of we had some thoughts there, but we'll see what happens at Fastlane, obviously. And obviously the WWE title match was fantastic. I really agree. I think, and that kind of leads me to my next point. The Kofi Kingston vibe, right? The push that online especially, and in these crowds the past couple weeks on SmackDown and at the Chamber pay-per-view, people are really behind Kofi like we've never seen before, right? We know a few years ago, it's been more than a few years ago now, where they tried the singles thing with him and Orton to try to kind of elevate Kofi, and it didn't really work, right? We saw that, and it was a failed attempt, right? now though, with the popularity of the New Day, considering how long he's been here, I mean, he's won every title besides the WWE title. He's been U.S. champion, Intercontinental champion, tag champion. So, with all that being said, what do you guys think of Kofi's push? He's obviously going to be facing Daniel Bryan at Fastlane for the WWE Championship. Em, I'll start with you. I mean, what are we thinking of Kofi as this push here? A, do we think that it's warranted, or do we think that are you enjoying it? Give me just your thoughts on the overall mega push that Kofi's getting here.
I mean, I like it. I like Kofi. I mean, well, I wasn't really into wrestling many moons ago when Michael over here was really into wrestling, but I remember you talking about Kofi Kingston probably like 7+ years ago.
Back when he was Jamaican.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
Back when he was Jamaican.
Right.
So I always kind of knew who he was, and I feel like maybe in the New Day, like while they're popular, I think maybe he gets a little lost in there sometimes, or like during some of the height of the Budios phase.
Well, I think people forget what he did as a single star, right? And so he's been kind of enveloped in this group, which has saved all three of their careers, really.
Oh, absolutely.
But I mean, I think I agree with you 100% where you don't remember Kofi Kingston. A lot of fans don't remember him as the guy who beat Chris Jericho for the Intercontinental Championship, who had several great runs with the U.S. title, right? He was tag champion with CM Punk at one point, for goodness sake. So, I mean, really, he's a tag team savant if you think about it. I mean, he had Evan Bourne as tag champ, R-Truth as tag champ. I mean, he's been tag champion a lot. But Mike, I mean, what did you think of the Kofi Kingston push, and are you excited to see where they go with it? I know there's been a lot of push for him to have that Mania match with Daniel Bryan. I don't know if that's really where they should go, but tell me what you're thinking.
Well, actually, and what I think I would have done if I was booking this with his popularity and stuff, actually, I probably would have had him win the Chamber match.
That's what I think, too.
And the reason I say that is you don't have to, like, if you want to give him his due, he's been here for, 11 years now? I've been watching since, 2008. I think that's when he debuted around that time area. So he's been there for, 11 years. He's done so much for you guys. And now you're able to give him this push and fans are behind it. I think you could have just been and actually I was expecting it almost.
Yeah, I kind of was, you kind of felt it at the very end. You're like, oh my God.
He hit, he countered into, a Trouble of Paradise near the end of the match. And I actually was kind of jumped out of my seat oh my God, I think he just did it.
Absolutely.
It was one of those moments, and he could be one of those transitional guys where you can just give it to him, and then you still had Fastlane as your safeguard to go, okay, we'll give Bryan the title back here, and then you can do whatever you wanted for Mania. And you still had time for all of that, so I think it was a perfect time if you were going to.
Right, and I liken it to the Jeff Hardy WWE title reign that he had. You know, his first one when he won at Armageddon against Edge and Triple H, right? Where it was the big pop, everybody was ready, they knew it was Jeff's. Jeff was super hot at the time. They teased it for so long. He lost, came up just that close every time for him to finally win it and break through. And then what they did with the whole Matt Hardy thing and the cross and everything. I don't necessarily think that needs to happen, play by play like that happened, but I agree with you, and I think that would have been great for them, especially because Daniel and the way they set it up, he was the first entrant in the Chamber, so he was in the whole match, right? So it made total sense for Kofi to somehow steal one in the Chamber, get his due, get the big reaction like they wanted to, have that celebration, then for them to have the rematch at Fastlane. Bryan beats him for the title, and then they're off and running. They go to Kevin Owens or whoever they're projecting on going with. Last question on this topic, though, guys. Do we think that... Now, obviously, the Rumble is the start, right? They always call it the start of the road to WrestleMania.
Definitely is.
But the Chamber, though, in years past, has definitely shaped the way they do things going forward, right? It really, really kind of sets you on a path towards WrestleMania. Do we think that this show accomplished that? Do we think that we're starting to see... the path kind of clear and kind of to see a WrestleMania card start to shape. Obviously, we know the Universal title match. We know the Raw Women's title match, which Becky's going to be in. We all know this is going to happen. So, but besides that, we didn't have a clear understanding. Are we starting to get pieces there? And did it do its job of getting us excited and ready for Mania in a couple months?
Well, I would say yes, but actually I don't think it did a great job of it.
Okay.
And not even a great job, but I think... it kind of but it kind of hurts the show a little bit that Fastlane's after it.
It does,
because usually you would suspect that, like, okay, so say, like, a Raw guy wins the Rumble like Rollins did.
Right.
Then you have the SmackDown Chamber match. You might have, like, a #1 Contenders Chamber match.
Yep.
And then you can kind of set up your big championships.
For 6 weeks.
Yeah, and everything kind of sets up. But now with Fastlane there, you have, like, 2 weeks until Fastlane from this recording. And now, like, Fastlane's almost going to be the show that, like, you're going to see a lot of interference and you're going to see a lot of this to start setting things up. That's why I'm kind of scared that Fastlane's not going to be that good of a show.
And it hurts the build to Mania, too, because now you've got less time to really hammer in these
You really
feuds.
want that last big show before Mania to be, like, 6 weeks before.
Right.
So you have that long build process of, like, building up all this stuff. But now it's going to be about 4 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks.
And it hinders the storytelling, absolutely.
Exactly.
You know, and you can tell the stuff that they prioritize. Obviously, this Becky Lynch thing, they're going to be going on forever, right? But to your point, we don't know what the WWE title match is going to be yet. We don't know the women's tag. We don't know the women's SmackDown title, right? Yep. We don't know what the U.S. title is going to be. If anything, Archer hasn't been on TV since he won the damn thing.
Yeah.
You don't know what the Intercontinental title is going to be with Balor. You don't know the Raw or SmackDown tags really. So
and usually after the Elimination Chamber or the second show, you kind of like, okay, this is going to go here. This is going to go here.
Same question, right? Do you think that the Chamber really kind of put us on the road, or is there still so many questions that we'll still have to wait till Fastlane before we really get answers to?
I think it was Elimination Chamber, like I said, was a better show than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I do kind of agree that maybe it didn't set everything up quite as clear, and I think that might just be because WWE likes to do pay-per-views because they make money off of them, and so
of course
they have another one booked, so it's almost like, well, like, if we have everything set up perfectly, Elimination Chamber, then why the heck are
I
we
totally
watching
get that.
Fastlane?
If they have every match already set up for Mania and Elimination Chamber, then Fastlane, it's going to be all title retains and stuff.
Right, and
so I liked the show,
yeah.
but I don't think it was like, didn't set as clear of a path as maybe
we would want it to.
How is Fastlane been around for a long time?
No.
2 or 3 years.
So
yeah, but
like
that's the thing, though, right? And
yeah.
obviously, Fastlane. I do agree with you guys, though, that I think Fastlane's going to be a snooze fest because because so many things happened on this show, so many title changes, so many big moments that I'm like, okay, there's no way you're doing anything.
The only titles that could change, I could see, is the U.S. title,
right?
Maybe.
I think the U.S. title could go into that Intercontinental match, the ladder match. I think that would be. I think that would
could
really
be nice, and maybe the SmackDown tags could change. Like if you're not planning the Usos.
Really wish a Nakamura
because you're having that rematch.
Would be a thing.
Usos will probably win it, but then other stuff might happen. And,
yeah, there's a lot of possibilities. I'm actually legitimately excited for WrestleMania this year. I think this card's gonna be way better than years past. But okay, we'll talk about that on another episode. All right, let's shift now from the World of Professional Wrestling. We're gonna go now to the Pistons. Right, they're coming off the All-Star break. They've won. They just beat the Hawks a couple days ago as of this recording, and then last night they beat the Heat. Both on the road, nonetheless. Their remaining schedule, they're the 7th seed now, right, in the conference as of this recording. The schedule's not that hard. We all talked about this at the beginning before the show, and it does not look to be that daunting. It doesn't look like they're playing a ton of good teams. I mean, they have they're sprinkled in, but you're playing the Cavs a bunch. You're playing, the Suns. You play Brooklyn. You play some of these teams that aren't very good. You know what I mean?
Well, they have the 9th easiest schedule.
There you go. Exactly. Now, but they do have to play a lot of these games on the road. I mean, I think I did the math. That's more than half, right? I think 15 road games left.
Yeah, 15 out of the 25 that are allowed.
Right, that's quite a bit. You know what I mean? At the time. So I mean, will that be a problem, or are you happy that they have to go on the road and win these games to kind of prove that they should be a playoff team? Because in my mind, I think they should be a playoff team, but they haven't always played like it in the past couple years. So do you think it's a good thing they have to go on the road, even against bad teams, and win in those environments?
Well, I think that's important to win on the road, especially when you're looking at the Pistons situation and there's no way you can get home court advantage.
Right.
Then you have to learn how to win on the road.
Absolutely.
That's like the biggest point of this is you're going to be the 6, 7, or 8 if you're going to make the playoffs. There's no way you can get an 11-game advantage and somehow swing to the 4 seed or something. Mm-hmm. So in that case, to win a series, you have to win at least one. You have to win all your home games plus 1 on the road to do the math, right?
Right.
So this is actually a nice experience to get some. You play Cleveland, Phoenix, Brooklyn. You play New York again. And then you're playing some good teams. You play like OKC. You play the Warriors on the road. So you're playing a nice, diverse.
That'll probably be a loss.
Yeah, there might be losses, but it's a nice you're going to play a good team on the road. So then when you have to go in, and we'll talk about it, maybe like Toronto, maybe
Yep.
Indiana or Milwaukee, if those are the 3 teams that you have to choose from that you play and they're all good,
Right.
you have like OKC and the Warriors experience on the road.
Right.
So you kind of know how you can play.
Absolutely.
On the road.
And same question, right? Do you think it's good that they have an easier schedule? So obviously it's setting up for them to make a run into the playoffs. Do you think though that they can do it, and B, is it good that they have to go on the road? And even though these are winnable games, it's a lot tougher to win on the road. Is it good for them? Does it kind of get them ready to go for playoff time?
I think it kind of balances out a little bit.
Mhm.
Like, they're playing easier teams, which if you want to just make the playoffs is a good thing.
Right.
If you want to
Yeah.
succeed in the playoffs,
Yeah.
you know, you probably have to beat some teams that are good. So
Right.
there's that. But the fact that it's on the road and it's harder to win on the road might kind of like balance out the impact of like, okay, we have an easier schedule, but we're kind of forced
Absolutely.
to navigate this on the road piece.
Absolutely.
So-
and I think you have to be a good team at the end of the day, right? I mean,
Yes.
that's the thing. You have to if you're the better team, you should be able to go on the road
And win.
and beat a bad team like Cleveland or the
Mhm.
Phoenix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think it's a fake it till you make it kind of thing. I think you just kind
Right.
of
I think you got to just do it.
you gotta
right?
just make it. You
I
know
think
what I mean?
I agree. I think agree. So I'm going to start with you then. Em, call your shot right now. Are the Pistons making the playoffs? We're the 7th seed right now. They're the 7th seed. They just won back-to-back coming out of the All-Star break as of this recording. So tell me right now, are they making the playoffs, yes or no?
Sure.
All right.
Well,
there
okay,
we
okay,
go. That was
okay,
the
but I
most
mean, I watched
rousing
them play-
endorsement ever.
I mean, a lot of Detroit sports kind of put me in this like, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. I think they'll make it. Do I know if they'll make it past the first round of the playoffs?
Probably not.
I don't think so.
That's tough.
But I think they could make it.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a second. Mike, same question. I'll call your shot. Are they making the playoffs?
Yeah, I could see them making it.
Yeah.
They do play like Toronto at home a couple of times and stuff. So I mean, preferably I'd rather them play a lot more home games, and then
Yeah.
like that's nice. But I mean, if you can win those games on the road, by all means, they
Right.
can make the playoffs.
Yeah, I think they need to. I think if they hit 40 wins, right, which is still technically a sub 500 record, I think they make the playoffs. I do think that this is the time right now with the way this is looking up. This is the time where you're going to either see them in the next probably 2 weeks. You're going to see them either make the run or they're not going to. You know what I mean? And they started out great coming out. They narrowly escaped the Hawks, right? Which, whatever. But then they come in, they beat the good Miami Heat team that they're in contention with right now in the bottom of the standings in the East. So the fact you went into their house, got the win there, I think those are important wins, especially against teams like Brooklyn, like Miami, these teams that are kind of in it and are around your time. Same with Charlotte.
It really helps out that the Hornets and the Heat also have harder schedules.
Exactly.
Like they're on the other side. They're like
Yep.
the 10th hardest, 9th hardest schedules.
Right.
While we're on the 9th easiest schedule. So that also kind of helps out long term
Absolutely.
with that. So.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna ask you this though. So say they make the playoffs, right? Which we've all kind of said here that they probably should, if not will.
I'll say fall.
What team on the top of the standings right now will they play? Assuming 8th, 7th, maybe 6th seed if we're feeling frisky. Who do you think they have the best chance against? I mean, you got Toronto, you got Milwaukee, possibly the Pacers, possibly 76ers. There's some teams, even the Celtics. Really, anything really that you're looking at? One team that they think they match up well against?
I think probably Toronto.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that might be a little bit like the easy answer, but I think.
Not really. I mean, they're the number 2 seed in the conference right now, so nothing's easy when it comes to Toronto. But I agree.
I think it's. I mean, I watched them play the 76ers, and that didn't go very well.
Yeah, we were at that game.
We were at that game.
Yeah.
But
That was before they got Tobias Harris too, so that's a whole other thing.
Oh,
But
yeah, forgot about that. Too.
right, and I agree. I think that Toronto. I know we talked about this before the show. Kawhi's there. Kyle Lowry is okay. He's an above-average point guard. I know they just traded for Marc Gasol, but that team, to me, I think we match up well against them. I think our star and Blake, their star, Kawhi's better, but
Yeah.
I think that they can kind of neutralize each other's fumbles as far as efficiency goes and effectiveness. So I think it comes to both teams match up well. You got 2 big guys going at it who both have been Drummond and Gasol. You've got okay point guards. I think the depth is kind of the same on both teams. Mike, I'm going to ask you the same question. Who do you think they match up well against, and who do you think they can maybe pull off an upset against?
I think the
If
best
it's Toronto,
teams-
it's okay. You can
No. I would say, and it's a tough situation because the Pacers lose Oladipo,
Yeah.
and they've been playing quite well without him.
Mm-hmm.
However, I do think teams like the Sixers and Celtics are going to start they're only like 3 games behind them at most.
Ramp up here. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to start like getting up there, and I think Pacers are going to start falling off a little bit. I mean, they're easily going to still make the playoffs. But they're going to start falling down a little bit. So like when you have to look at it, and theoretically the teams are like Milwaukee, Toronto, Philly, and Boston are the 4 teams that you probably are going to face as a 5 through 8.
Right.
Then at that point, I would look at Toronto being the best team, just because the starting 5s from Milwaukee, Boston, and Sixers are so strong that you'll get in such a deep hole probably early in all those games because of how bad you start games that I don't think that you'll be able to come back from that. Whereas Toronto doesn't start that hot. That usually they finish way better than they start, and so do the Pistons. So if you can keep a competitive game going to the 4th, I could see the Pistons pulling out some games there.
Yeah, and honestly, what better guy to go against Toronto than their former coach, right? Who knows that team better, really? You know what I mean? They just promoted an assistant anyway to be their head coach. So I think that's a great thing. I think they could, for whatever reason, I feel like a Milwaukee matchup would just be interesting, if nothing else, just simply based off the fact that I'm like, I don't know why, but I feel like it could be a thing. I don't know why. Like, obviously, the Greek Freak, they just got Mirotic in that trade. They got Middleton. They've got pieces, but at the same time, I look at it and I go, okay, if Drummond can play some semblance of what we think he can play, if Blake gets hot, I don't think they can beat the Bucks in a 7-game series, but I do think that they could win a game or two, especially at home, and maybe steal a couple. At the end of the day, that's all we're looking for. That's how low the bar has become here in Detroit, where we're looking for a playoff win. Just 1 game in a 7-game series. We'll take that. All right, guys, that's going to be it for part 1 of this episode of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. Please stay tuned from a word from our sponsor, and we will be right back.
Hey guys, it's Emily the Brain coming here to tell you about today's episode sponsor, TracyStJames. She is your #1 hookup for planning the best Disney family vacations. So if you're looking to take a break from the super cold weather here in Detroit or wherever you're at, contact Tracy at TracyStJames at TravelMation.net. That is Travelmation with an M. She will be able to help you plan an amazing vacation. And while you're packing, make sure to check out her Etsy store for some awesome ears. The Etsy store is Talk Disney to Me, 2 as in the number 2. They're super comfortable and you can get them customized for anything you want, whether you want to rep a sports team, get ready for a wedding, or you just want a special Disney pair of ears for your favorite movie. Now, 1, all of her links will be down below in our descriptions, and 2, get ready for part 2.
All right, welcome back to part 2 of episode 13 of the I'm Always Right Sports Podcast. Let's jump right into it now. Manny Machado finally signs a contract with San Diego Padres, 10 years, $300 million. The biggest free agent signing, I think, ever. You know what I mean? It's just craziness. It rivals Giancarlo Stanton's contract, but he wasn't a free agent, obviously. But so he gets $300 million. Let's just start off with the obvious. Good move for Manny Machado.
Yeah, for
I mean, you just got paid $300 million.
I get $30 million a year to play baseball. I mean, I guess I can't really complain too much.
I'm saying question, right? Is it a good move? Is it a good move for him moving? I mean, he was with the Dodgers, last year. He got traded there. So, do you think that this was a smart move to go from a team like that to the San Diego Padres?
I mean, you got paid.
Depends
on if your goal is to get paid or to win World Series.
That's my question, right?
So.
You look at it. I don't know.
The
Padres aren't necessarily ready to win. I don't think yet. That pitching staff is not what it is yet.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They've got a couple years, really. I think 2021 is probably the soonest that they can really look at that opening window.
Yes.
But do you think that overall, though, it's a good signing for him to be there? I think, okay, they're trending upwards, and that they're going to be able to win a championship here, or is this strictly a money grab?
Well, actually, this is kind of interesting because I think the players that they have right now, it's like a potentially, like, I think this season you could see like maybe like a 500, because last year they were the worst in their division.
Right.
They had about 60 wins, and it was a very rough go for this team.
Right.
However, with they have like Ian Kinsler, they have a really good shortstop.
Yep.
They have like players in place right now, and they also have I looked this up the other day. They have 10 of the top 100 prospects in their system in the minors right now.
There you go. That helps.
So with that, I think that over the course of this year, next year, maybe the year after, when they start developing, they come up. Mm-hmm. Now you have someone like Manny Machado, who's like who can play third, but he can also play shortstop pretty interchangeably.
Right.
So that also gives you flexibility. Like, hey, we have this amazing third stop down in the minors. We'll just throw him at third, and then Machado can play shortstop.
So you're thinking this is a good move then for the Padres too?
Oh yeah, I think it's a good move all around.
Right.
I think it's actually a great system for Machado.
Right.
And I think with the players that they have in developmental and everything, I think the Padres are going to favor in like a year or two. You're going to see a lot from the Padres.
Right, and I think this is a long-term investment. Obviously, I think there's an out. I think after 5 years. After 4 years.
Yeah.
So with that, right, they're kind of hedging their bets a little bit. So I agree. I think, especially for a smaller market like San Diego, as far as baseball goes, right, it's not going to be a place. It's not a destination area, right.
No.
So for a guy like Manny Machado, 26 years old, the top of his game, to come out and sign with you, granted, I get it. You gave him $300 million, but the point being is that when you have a superstar come into your program like they're having right now, that's a huge win for the Padres, right? I think it gives you some buzz. It gives you merch to sell. I think it's something that you can sell the fans on, saying, "Hey, look, Manny Machado came here. We're building something."
Yeah.
Right. I think Eric Hosmer signed too, didn't they? With him too.
Yeah.
So I think that or last year. So they're building some pieces in San Diego, right? And I think once the pitching catches up, I think that's when you're going to see that.
The only thing I'd be nervous about if I was the Padres, though, is Machado has a really big ego.
Yeah.
And, like, he has a big problem with, like, the media and everything.
Yeah.
And I think that...
Maybe that's why he went here, though, is because he's in San Diego. It's a smaller market, so it's not...
That's probably a bigger reason. I mean,
Right.
maybe not a big reason, but, like, that's probably a good reason why he went there.
Absolutely.
But, like, that's also, like, I had problems with people, like, and I thought, like, Odell Beckham and stuff.
Right.
That just had these huge egos and, like, oh, we lost the game because we went in the hot. We went to Florida, and then we played Green Bay, and Green Bay, we weren't ready for it. Like, you don't say stuff like that. Like,
exactly.
That stuff, like, and like, egos, and I'm just not a big fan of Machado.
Right.
But as a Padres signing him, I think it was a great move.
Yeah, I think it gives something for the fan base especially to be excited about. Does this set, though, the benchmark for Bryce Harper's deal? Now, we know the Nationals offered Harper a $300 million deal, right? But there was a lot of ticky-tack outs and clauses and everything else, right? So with that being said, does this now the mark has been set, right? It's got to be $300 million, if not above. So it's got to be, like the NFL ruling, right? It's $2 million above, 302 or whatever. So is that the benchmark? I know that we've been reading some reports that the Phillies and Harper, it may be just a matter of days here now before they finally get it done, but is that the benchmark? Do we expect Harper to sign something similar to this deal in the way probably it's structured as well?
I think when Harper looks at what Machado got, I think it's harder for other teams because he's going to want way more than that. Because he sees himself, he's a amazing lefty, and that's like something you don't like. There's not a lot of amazing
MVP.
Yeah, you have all these accolades with him. Fantastic lefty, great at fielding and everything. And he's like, Machado just got $300 million for 10 years. He's like, I kind of want like that much more because he thinks he's that much better, which he is, I think, a lot better overall.
Absolutely.
But then you're looking at teams going, I don't think I could pay you $350 million to
I don't want to pay you
$350 million.
You're right.
For just one guy for baseball. It's tough.
It's tough, right? And same question, right? Do you think that, you being the financial analyst, right, and obviously you missed our talk last week, but being able to sign a guy like Bryce Harper in his prime, I mean, it's going to be a big win for whatever franchise does it. But do you think that there's no way now? There was some talk. Okay, maybe he said takes a shorter term deal now with tons of money per year. Now it's like it feels like that's where the bar has now been set. And if you can't pass that, you might as well get out of the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, you run into the issue of like market comparisons here now. So I mean, like, I'm assuming there's people who sit around and do analysis on stats, and they have crazy formulas for how much money someone is worth based on X, Y, Z capacity and ability. I'm assuming that Bryce Harper's representation has some kind of idea of what his going rate is. Yeah. But it seems like the Padres kind of made I don't want to say ballsy, but
it's definitely ballsy. You just invested $300 million in a guy.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of went for it, and so I'm assuming Mr. Harper is looking for the same sort of dedication and maybe a little bit more, because from what I'm hearing on his stat area from Michael, the financial analysis, if you look at it from a financial standpoint, it's A plus B equals C. He does this better. He's better for this.
Yeah, so
therefore he should be worth more.
Right.
Unless there's some sort of bizarre strategy thing that we don't know about.
Right. Well, I mean, his average dipped a little bit last year, right? I think he hit 280, but he still hit over, I think, 35 home runs. I think he still drove in over 100 runs. So he was still effective at the plate, but I think point being, you don't see a guy at this age with this much talent who's done already so much. It's like if Mike Trout went into free agency, everybody would flip out because he's one of the most gifted baseball players we've ever seen. Bryce is in that same kind of comparison. Right. He's a great athlete. He's a great player. You know what I mean? You've never really seen him have any problems with the media or anything like that. He's just kind of a dude, right? I mean, he's probably a little bit of an airhead just based off looking at him. But that's me just being a jerk. But it's just that you just kind of feel it. So I think that's where it is. I think 10 years, 350, 375. Yeah, it's gonna be bananas. And if he signs this week, we'll talk about it on next week's show. But it's gonna be stupid how much he signs.
I also think though that if a very good playoff caliber team was to give him if someone was going to give him the same as Machado, but you can be like, hey, we can almost guarantee you that you win if you come here. Right. I think that's also a huge incentive.
Right. I think the Phillies too. The Phillies did a great job of tearing it all down after their World Series wins to build it back up. Now I think it's a great fit for him. Anyway, all right, let's shift now. We're going to shift from baseball. We're going to go now to the Colin Kaepernick settlement with the NFL. We're not going to... I don't want to go too deep into the woods here because this could get really hairy really quickly. So we're all about having some fun here on the show. So I'm not going to go...
I'm not allowed to yell.
Yeah, no, you can yell, but as long as it's got something pertaining to what I'm going to ask you. So they make a settlement with both Eric Reed and Colin Kaepernick, right? We don't know. It's an undisclosed amount. Some people have predicted 60 to 80. Some people said it's less. It's probably in the tens of millions of dollars if I had to guess, right?
I would assume.
What does this settlement mean from the NFL's perspective? Does this show an admission of guilt that not taking this, full bore into court and having, letting the whole system play out? Does this show any sort of all right, clearly they did something, because if they didn't, why are they settling? Or is it just strictly man, I'm going to start with you because you seem eager, McBeaver, to kind of jump on this, but is it just egg on the face of the NFL, so they just want to just get rid of it and be done with it? Or is it kind of see, we all kind of knew you're doing something, now you're just kind of trying to throw money at the situation to make it go away?
On a very base level, ignoring any judgment calls of who's right and who's wrong. Yeah. This has been a nightmare for the NFL. Yes. I'm not saying it's not partially their fault that it has been a nightmare for them. But I am saying that they, most cases, regardless of right or wrongdoing in business settings, we don't want them to go to trial. Yes. Nobody ever wants to go to trial because trials are expensive. Right. The NFL, depending on how the trial went and where it wound up and appeals and all sorts of crap, they would have spent more money on freaking lawyers than they probably did.
It's the NFL too, so I don't really think they're hurting for cash, but I get your point.
But it's a cost-benefit analysis and the negative PR and then the back and forth.
And what if they lost?
No, I know. Yeah. And I think they just kind of got it to be
right.
Quiet little doggies. Right. But I think obviously there was. I don't know if you can necessarily say he was it would be hard to prove he was formally blacklisted, but he's problematic.
Right.
He's problematic for the league, which causes problems, and by the way that the NFL and the commissioner took a stand on it, it made him problematic for everyone in the league, and so they were no.
Well, here's the thing too, though, and I think that, and I don't know how much you can how much you can read this, but some of the performance on the field this past couple of years is some of the backup situations that you've seen other Nathan Peterman, for an example, the Blaine Gabberts of the world, right? Some of these guys that really don't deserve to be on professional football teams. Let me preface this. I don't think Colin Kaepernick is a good quarterback, okay? That's not what I'm saying. However, do I think he's better than throwing 7 interceptions in one game like Nathan Peterman? Yes, I do. Okay, so let's just get that out of the way right now, right?
I think there are players who've done a lot more morally objectable things and still somehow manage.
But the difference, here's where it gets sketchy, right? Is that the problem is twofold. Number one, he started doing this at a time where his career was kind of in turmoil, okay? And number two, he's a quarterback, right? So everything he does is magnified to the umpteenth degree. He played for a bad 49ers team, okay? So he lost his job, didn't really lose it, but he lost his job and then got it back, right? Didn't play terrible. They just had a bad team, right? And he wasn't as effective as he was under Harbaugh and what have you.
Yeah.
Mike, is the NFL just happy to be rid of this? Or are they just like, all right, we were going to lose this, we were going to lose our ass on this, so we just needed to get rid of it? Or is it more like, we just want to get rid of it so they can stop talking about it?
They wanted to get rid of it, so they just like, I'm over this kind of thing. Like, maybe we just pay you and everything, like, just goes under the rug. But I'm kind of different than that, I feel like, a little bit. Because I kind of look at it as, one, I don't think any team wanted that spotlight of that situation on their team.
Right.
Which is one of the reasons why. But I think over time, he's like, hey, I won't do this anymore, so, like, sign me, whatever, if he's, like, he was saying stuff like that.
Right.
But then I think you look at it and it goes, well, you haven't played in 2 years, so how are you going to perform?
Right.
I think that's the biggest issue, is he was kind of like, he went to the Super Bowl, and then he started going on a little decline right after the Super Bowl. The team was getting bad and stuff, and he was a backup for a little bit there. And then when he leaves the team, it's been like 2 years since he's played football. So now you're looking at like, well, can you still throw a football well?
Right.
It's the real problem. And then I think there's a portion of teams out there that weren't like, hey, we don't want to sign you because you're taking a knee and you're standing up against this. It's more of, we don't know if you can play. And can you play better than some teams?
I guarantee you that there is definitely a thought of that, right? Where and I agree, but I do think that at the end of the day, he could definitely be an asset to a team, right? Like, you know what I mean? If RG3 can get back on a team, Colin Kaepernick can get back on a team. Obviously, it's different situations because of the turmoil, right? But, like, shoot, even Tim Tebow got 3 chances, right? And he was doing, and he couldn't play. Just flat out couldn't play at all. You know what I mean? Like, so...
But he doesn't criticize America. He likes cheese.
Yeah, right. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying, strictly from a performance standpoint, Colin Kaepernick is better than some backup quarterbacks in the NFL right now. Yeah. Now, does he deserve $28 million a year? No, absolutely not.
Do you think that's the key? I mean, he was going to go to AAF for $20 million.
I think I don't know his contract demands, right? And if that's something where he goes, well, I think I should be paid $12 million, well, then obviously, right, then we can't do business, right? But at least if that comes out and he says he wants $12 million, okay, you're a backup. That's clearly not in the cards. I think
if he was bargaining like a jerkhead, though, I feel like maybe the NFL might have been like, we have documented evidence. You were driving too hard of a bargain and you weren't worth what you wanted. Well, that's not our problem.
Here's another thing, too. A lot of people are now saying that after the settlement, he's never been closer to signing with the team than now. So I don't know what goes into that settlement. I don't know, and obviously Eric Reed also got a payoff from that, and he's already signed. He signed an extension with Carolina, so he's playing in the league. I mean, is he going to be on a team next year? Do you think that somebody at least brings him in for a training camp and just be like, you know what, let's give it a chance? Because there's a lot of teams that could easily go for a good, solid backup. You know what I mean? Like the Niners are perfect. Obviously, he wouldn't go back there, but Garoppolo gets hurt. You got C.J. Beathard running out there. That's not
the
Packers are another great example, right? I mean,
when Rodgers goes out once a year, I mean, you need somebody back there.
No kidding, right?
When they play the Lions first time, he goes out.
Denver just traded for 45-year-old Joe Flacco, who's making $30 million a year, who's just as good as Case Keenum, which is not good. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, like, there's obviously teams. Quarterback need Jacksonville. Is going to cut Blake Bortles. Miami is going to cut Tannehill. There's teams that need quarterbacks out there. Don't tell me that he's not as good as Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah.
Okay. Like let's be honest.
He's around that level.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So you're
what I find interesting though is if they do sign him, I'm assuming there's some sort of like shut your mouth clause somewhere in this agreement.
Maybe there is.
And so what's intriguing to me though, and you run into this like wonky cross like. Okay. Did he do it for attention? Did he do it because he cares? And now, like, he's not getting paid anymore. He got blackballed by the league.
We know though that he's been donating to charities, right? We know that he's been, a lot of money that he's made from this. He's thrown right back into communities. So there's obviously some sort of cause here, right? That he is following, right? Is the timing a little bit meh? Yeah, doesn't help. If he would have started it when he was playing at his absolute best, I think he could have avoided a lot of this headache. So there's both sides to it. And I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but just tell me right now, is he on a team next year? At some point during the year, does he get signed? Even if he was a camp body, just be there.
I honestly think that there will be a time through the year that a star quarterback goes down, like say like an Aaron Rodgers, and then Green Bay's going to pick him up.
There you go.
That's where I think he would go.
Right.
Somewhere like that, where a guy goes down, you have no backup, and he's like, all right, just don't throw interceptions.
Right, yeah, exactly. Just
come in.
Run the ball,
you.
basically.
Yeah, run the ball. But,
Stand on 2 feet, no kneeling, and don't.
Yeah,
don't
that's
all we
literally
ask.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in that situation, but there's not going to be a team like Jacksonville that's like, hey, we're going to sign you to start right now. Like there won't be that kind of team.
No,
it's just going to be like someone gets hurt.
Definitely didn't be brought in.
Someone's going to get hurt 3 weeks. Hey, we need you to play for 3 weeks. Just do
right, and maybe that's what it is, right? You never know. I mean,
eventually,
the Colts brought Kerry Collins out after Peyton Manning got hurt, right? So out of retirement. So I mean, there's a lot of things that you can go into where you're just like, you know, I do think at some point, I think if the NFL truly wants to get this behind them, somebody should sign him, right? Even if it's for a backup situation, right? If you come in and then he gets another chance, I mean, we're giving Kareem Hunt another chance. We've given Greg Hardy multiple chances. He was even convicted. Greg Hardy was, and the Cowboys still signed him. You know what I mean? I mean, he was terrible, but the point being is that he got another chance before. You know, he got another chance. I don't know what that was, what you were just doing, but
It was my big boo.
Oh, that's your boo. Boo. But you have double-handed on boos.
Okay.
For this podcast episode, man.
Okay. Yeah.
Go on YouTube and watch this.
Yeah, clearly. It's just to see the hand motion. It's gonna be a new shirt pretty soon. But yeah, he's good enough to be on an NFL team. Straight up, he is. You can say whatever you want, whatever opinion you have on the kneeling and everything else. We're not going to get into that because that's too much stress that I don't need. But at the end of the day, he can play quarterback still. At the end of the day, he can. So let's not completely be stupid about it. And if somebody signed him, I think it just kind of, okay, he's on a team now.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then it goes away after that, you know? So it'll be interesting to see where they go. It was just kind of fun that they actually settled. I was like, wow. All right. Okay, guys, we're going to hit now our 5th and final segment. You guys should know what's coming. We did it last week as kind of a bonus segment, but now it's going to be an every week segment until the NFL draft. That's right, the MERKZONE mock draft corner. That's right, we're going to be hitting now. Mike Scott, once again, if you don't know what it is, first off, go listen to episode 12 in the archives because you get a full rundown here. But what this is, Mike is going to give us the first 5 picks, all right, of any particular mock draft he finds. Then he's also going to give us a Lions pick at 8 or wherever they're at if they make a trade, down, up, sideways, what have you. And then we're also going to get the 2nd and 3rd round picks of the Lions as well. And then he's going to, if anything happens where, say, Rashawn Gary falls in the 2nd round or something crazy, he'll kind of bring that up with us as well, or any prospects that I or M kind of look at. And I'm going to try to not have a heart attack because as Mike tries to find the craziest mock draft possible. So we're all going to see, and we may witness a death here on the show. I don't know. It just could be a thing. So I don't.
We're going to hope it doesn't happen.
I'm not the most in shape guy in the world, ladies and gentlemen. So the heart maybe not be pumping at full mass at all times. All right, Mike. Enough chit chat. Let's get right into it. I am prepared mentally, emotionally, not even a little bit spiritually, but let's go anyway.
All right, let's do it. So this is my time to talk a lot now, and I absolutely love it. Okay, so we're gonna look at the first pick. Arizona keeps their first pick, and they pick Nick Bosa at Ohio State.
Okay, makes sense. All right, so they're not going the Kyler Murray route, which I'm still going to fall out of my pants if it does, but it'll be fine.
Yep, so that's the first one.
Okay.
We're going to do the first 5, and then we're going to go.
I'm so excited for the draft.
So our number 2 pick, San Francisco keeps their pick, and they pick Josh Allen, Kentucky edge rusher.
Okay, well, there goes my pipe dream already. All right, so, I kind of thought that's where he was going to fall, and okay.
And here's where it gets interesting, because now you might get confused. Right. Number 3, the Jets take Clelin Ferrell, Clemson edge rusher.
Wow. All right. That's confusing, if nothing else. So also, just so you guys are aware, too, a lot of these mock drafts promote basically mock trades in here, but they don't necessarily tell us compensation. So don't shred us online for saying, well, how do I know if the Jets gave up? They really wanted to move up or whatever. Just play along.
This
it's a mock draft.
I've looked through this one. This one doesn't have a lot of trades, but in the future, that is. Yeah.
Just so we get that out in the air now.
So,
okay.
Number 4, the Oakland Raiders will take Greedy Williams, LSU cornerback.
Yeah, that's a John Gruden pick, pretty much all the way around.
So definitely a guy John Gruden would pick.
Yeah, that's a playmaker who hopefully can solidify one end of the field like that. I think they'll go there. They'll go pass rusher probably at some point as well. Maybe even safety later on because they cut Melifonwu last year. So there's a lot of things that Oakland could do there.
So we got number 5, Tampa Bay will pick Jonah Williams, Alabama offensive tackle.
It makes sense when you think about it. I mean, you're going to give Jameis another chance. You think you have pieces there. I think they're trying to convince Deshaun Jackson to stay. You've got wide receivers. You have tight ends.
Yeah.
It's
Building
probably
the offense a little bit.
right. Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them go running back early too. Maybe trade down, try to get a running back because I can't name.
Well, last week we had Josh Jacobs from Alabama.
Right. Now that's a bit nuts, but
Yeah.
I mean, geez. But
All right,
I understand.
Like predicted, New York will pick Dwayne Haskins. The Giants.
Okay.
They'll pick Dwayne Haskins.
Yep.
And number 7, Quinnen Williams goes to Jacksonville. Alabama defensive tackle.
Okay. Wow, he kind of fell a little bit from last week, but okay.
He was like 3.
I kind of see that. Yep.
All right, so now we're at the Lions. Those 7 were
And
the first
Jacksonville
7.
taking another defensive player though. That's crazy, but okay.
So now the Lions are picking, and we know who the first 7 are taken.
Yep.
So now we are going to pick number 8, and we are picking Deontay Thompson, Alabama safety.
Okay.
How do you feel?
I don't hate it. Here's what this means. This pick means though. Number 1, you're getting the number 1 safety off the board,
Yes.
right? Pretty much consensus, right?
Yeah.
Isn't he hurt though? Doesn't he have that? Doesn't he have the Achilles or the Liz Frank or something injury or something like that? I thought.
It doesn't say on here that
regardless,
he's hurt, but
right? So either way, point being is that he's probably the number 1 safety on the board.
Mhm.
He probably becomes an immediate starter. That also means they probably swung and missed in free agency.
Yeah.
On the safety
what I would
market.
assume,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
You have Tracy Walker who's going to start now. You've got
Quandre.
Quandre, but they run a lot of 3 safety sets with a safety coming down and covering.
Yeah.
So I don't hate this pick. It just the medical part about
If you look at it like today, not like predicting what we were going to do in free agency, I actually wouldn't mind this pick.
Right.
But then you're going to
Yes.
assume like if somehow you get like someone like Landon Collins or something,
Right.
this totally changes. We don't go near a safety.
Obviously, you're not as big into the mock draft stuff as we are, clearly. But just looking at the depth of their roster, what do you think? What do you think of that pick? If nothing else, positionally, right? Do you think that that's a need? It's defensively, so not necessarily a shock. But what do you think of Deontay Thompson? We saw him playing in the college football playoff and all that good stuff.
I mean,
we are on a podcast, so
I know.
give me some
I think
sort of
so,
noise.
I'm a YouTube gal myself.
Yeah,
I'm a
right.
visual
I felt all
communicator.
that visualness.
Yeah, well, exactly.
I think it's a good pick. I don't think that I'm like
Yeah, taking best
blown
safety.
away or like in the positions that Rob yells about the most. I don't think that like safety is
right. Right.
top
Absolutely.
of the line there. But
All right. Give me round 2.
my goal is to not get thrown off.
I got a couple big name guys going here. So
Okay.
Rashad Gary going 10 to Denver. How
Okay.
you feel?
I guess they're not going quarterback then.
I got Montez Sweat going to the Green Bay Packers at 12.
That's been a common thing now. We're already two segments in. We've already seen that twice happen. I wouldn't be shocked by that, but I also think though they need help in a lot of places, even offensively. I think, but yeah, it could be.
And I also have Kyler Murray going 13th to the Miami Dolphins.
Okay. Wow, he falls a little bit there, but okay, makes sense. All right, I'm with you on that.
So I got 18 Minnesota. If you want to go to the NFC
Yeah.
North teams, they pick Christian Wilkins.
Mm-hmm.
Going through here, anything big?
Who's Chicago take?
Chicago doesn't have their pick.
Oh, God, I did it again. I did it
But
last
the
week, too.
Raiders, who have their pick, would pick Mac Wilson, inside linebacker
There it
from
is.
Alabama.
There it is. All right, give me round 2
Yep,
for the
so
Lions.
round 2's coming up, and let's see. So we have Josh Jacobs going to Oakland in the early second round.
Okay.
Alabama running back. Where do we even?
Must be the end of my
Denver.
round.
Listen to this. Denver picks Drew Lock in the second round. Quarterback out of Missouri.
Wow.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be.
So we have the 43rd pick in the second round, and we are going to pick Marquise Brown, Oklahoma wide receiver.
Okay, Marquise Brown's the one who's hurt. I think he just got hurt. That's the one I flipped. I don't know why I flipped those. But
He's the Oklahoma guy who was hurt in the Final Four game.
Yeah, that's the.
Can we not pick people?
That's my only thing, right? Is I don't like taking guys that just got hurt out of pre-draft process. However,
if he shows up
at that spot, oh, he's not. He's already said he's not.
Oh,
he's
yeah,
not. So he'd be ready for. He'd probably be ready for camp though. But point being, they think that he'd probably run low 4.3s anyway. He's a speedster. He fits a need. He fits a great need there. Mm-hmm. Once again, what this draft is showing me is that they swung and missed on several big areas of need, which means probably unless the third round tells me they went and got a tight end, they probably went and got a pass rusher in free agency, and they probably went and got corner, depending on what you're telling me in the third round. So that's what they're telling me about free agency with this draft. I don't hate it, but man, taking guys with injuries, we've done it before. Hasn't always worked out. Java Best, Abdullah. Those are the two that just come to mind, at least from a running back position, a position of need. But, all right, give me the third round pick. Close it out.
As a Michigan guy, Devin Bush goes to Philadelphia at 57, inside linebacker.
Great pick for them.
So that would be there. And we're going to head to the third round where, let's see. I like that pick. Riley Ridley, Georgia wide receiver, goes to San Francisco.
Okay, yeah, good for them.
Also, that tight end, TJ.
Yeah.
He goes to Green Bay right after us.
Really?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. That must have mean they went and upgraded the tight end position. That's the only thing I can think of, because there's no way they can ignore the tight end position for this long, unless you tell me right now they take one in the third round.
They don't
so that means they hit on their free agency mark with the tight end position then.
So this is an interesting one. I had not seen this one yet.
Oh god.
So pick number 88, third round, we pick a corner out of Temple.
Okay.
Rock Ya-Sin. 6'2", 190 pounds.
Okay, so it's a bigger body corner. Okay, yeah. That's more of a depth pick then. That's what that is at that point. I think because you're in the later part of the third round, I don't necessarily hate that pick. Yeah, that's okay though. I mean, I'm honestly, that draft though is okay. That's definitely okay with me. No, I'm okay. I didn't have a heart attack, guys. No, hey, I'm feeling okay right now.
Survived through this.
Oh man, really another week. Yes. All right, guys.
It's Rob. We need to get Rob I Heart Free Agency.
I do love free agency. I can't wait for Free Agent Frenzy. That's going to be a whole great episode.
I can't get his attention for more than 5 seconds.
All right, guys. That's going to be it for this episode of the I'm Always Right Sports podcast. For the Merk Zone, for the brain, I am the mouth of Michigan, Ramadeka, and we will see you guys, as always, next time.